Today on CCX News, proof that votes matter. We catch up with a city council race decided by a single vote and headed for a recount. It's something that hasn't happened in Crystal in recent memory. John Budashevsky currently holds a one-vote edge over challenger Wade Gerard. I spoke with both candidates about those results and to learn what we can expect next.
Hello.
When voters went to the ballot boxes last Tuesday, none of them likely expected it to end quite like this.
You're always surprised, especially, being that the election's so close, it's even more exciting.
The Crystal Ward 3 council candidates are facing a near tie.
My reaction is just kind of humbled by the turnout for voters for me.
The one thing I have to say is I believe in the election process.
Incumbent John Budashevsky beat Wade Gerard by one vote.
I thought it was a very competitive race, from the get-go. I thought that Wade was a really good candidate.
But the race isn't over yet. Gerard is taking advantage of the recount.
I owe it to the people that voted for me, I think, to take advantage of the recount that's available to us to just verify the election results.
And in Budashevsky's memory, this election is historic.
I have never done a recount before, and I think it's been over 30 years since there's one done in Crystal. So it's been a long time.
Each of them have similar but different things to bring to the table. Many of Gerard's ideas are new.
One thing I want to do is implement the Adopt a Storm Drain program, which allows neighbors to adopt a storm drain that they take care of and they clean. Also do markings on all the street sewers to indicate that they lead to waterways and lakes and streams.
While Budashevsky hopes to continue work the council has begun.
Especially like the Crystal Pool. We are working on long-range planning for the city to make sure that we're more cost-effective.
But now, as the city recounts the ballots, the vote remains in their neighbors' hands. CCX hasn't heard back from the city on when that recount is set to be complete. In any event, a recount will be paid for by the city. Minnesota appears to have done it again when it comes to voter turnout. Our state is expected to take the #1 spot again, with more than 76% of voters showing up at the polls. That's not as high as 2020, when Minnesota set a record with almost 80% voter turnout. Our neighbors to the east, Wisconsin, are a mere 0.1% behind Minnesota, according to unofficial results. The states with the lowest voting turnout are Oklahoma at 53%, followed by Arkansas. Brooklyn Park police are investigating a brazen robbery in which a driver was punched by someone walking alongside the road who then entered her vehicle. It happened Friday night in a residential neighborhood at the intersection of Pearson and Sierra Parkways. Police say the driver slowed down as she approached someone walking in the street. That's when the robber opened the driver's passenger side front door, flashed a knife, then punched the driver in the face before stealing her purse. The robber then ran from the scene. As of Monday, police had not made an arrest. Their investigation continues. A former city council member who resigned her post for other professional opportunities could soon be back with the city, this time in a high-ranking, paid position. The city council is expected to vote this week to hire Alicia Vickerman for the city's new assistant city administrator job. Vickerman served on the city council from 2021 until her resignation earlier this year. According to city documents, the city interviewed 11 candidates for the position and then selected 2 finalists before choosing Vickerman. The assistant city administrator will help city administrator Shane Michelson, who's taking on the unusual split duties of also serving as the city's police chief. On this Veterans Day, students from Oxbow Creek Elementary in Brooklyn Park spent time honoring those who served. A flag-raising ceremony organized by Oxbow Creek 5th graders kicked off a day of events at the school aimed at showing appreciation for service members and teaching students about the sacrifices made by those in the armed forces. 5th grade teacher Keith Rose, who helped lead the ceremony, is a veteran himself. He says events like this are important for a complete education.
Yes, the reading, the math, those are all critically important, but we also want to teach them the idea of gratitude. And this month our theme is gratitude, and showing gratitude to those who have served, continue to serve, the sacrifices they have made, I think is a key part of that.
Veterans were invited to join the ceremony and enjoy a free lunch at Oxbow Creek. Veterans at a senior living facility in Golden Valley spent the day reflecting on the time they spent serving their country.
Well, it was a wonderful experience for me in the Marine Corps. I loved it and hated it at the same time. But as the Marine Corps motto is, a Marine never retires. He's always a Marine, lifetime. And I had a lot of very interesting experiences on the East Coast, on the West Coast. I never landed in Vietnam, but I spent a lot of time aboard ship.
Mark Nelson is one of 50 vets at Covenant living in Golden Valley. He spent 6 years in the Marine Corps. Covenant set up a display honoring their residents that served in the military for Veterans Day. They also had a free brunch where they could swap stories. Tom Perks is another vet at Covenant. He spent more than 20 years in the Navy, serving in Vietnam. He said recognition was slow to come for American troops in that conflict.
So I hardly ever wore my uniform because it was difficult. Since 9/11, just after 9/11, I was at an event where the vets were honored, and that was the first time in all the years since I'd retired that I was honored. That was 20 years after I retired.
And we at CCX News would like to thank veterans and their families for the sacrifices they've made.
The Armstrong football team made it through section play undefeated. The Falcons met a good Alexandria team in the state class 5A quarterfinals. Jay Wilcox has highlights.
Section 5 champion Armstrong meeting Section 8 winner Alexandria in the state class 5A football quarterfinals. After a scoreless first quarter, Armstrong's Dawson Franke throws a strike to Gideon Brecker, who gets a foot in bounds and hangs on through the landing for a great catch. The Falcons lead at 7-0. Alexandria answers as Chase Thompson puts it right on the money to Mason Gorghuber for the 26-yard touchdown. A surprisingly low-scoring game is tied 7-7 at halftime. Third quarter, and Franke is hit as he throws, but still gets it to Pharrell DeLine, who shakes a tackle to finish a 48-yard touchdown play, and Armstrong goes back in front 14-7. Early in the fourth, Thompson nearly runs into the referee, then is nearly sacked as well before finding Gorghuber for the touchdown. A great game is tied up at 14-14. Late in the game, Armstrong keeps Alexandria out of the end zone, but Gophers-bound kicker Daniel Jackson hits a field goal to give the Cardinals their first lead, 17-14. And Evan Clute seals it with an interception as Alexandria advances to the semifinals with a 17-14 win. Armstrong finishes 10-1. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
The Class 4A state volleyball tournament came down to the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in the state Saturday. Second-ranked Champlin Park was aiming for the program's second state title when they met number 1 Lakeville South.
Star Tribune Player of the Year Carly Gilk and the Rebels looking for the program's second ever state title. The top-ranked Cougars, though, come out strong in the first set. Kaylin Bjorklund with a back set to Rowan Carr. Her attack scores. 1 of 8 kills for her in the match. South wins the first set 25-16. Second set, and the Cougars lead from start to finish. The block here from Ari Benshoof. 1 of 4 blocks for her in the match. Lakeville South wins 25-17, and they're up 2-0. But Champlin Park, no stranger to trailing in the postseason, comes back. Reese Axness sets the ball outside to Gilk, who scores with a big swing. Rebels win 25-14, and we go to a fourth set. Tessa Magden, with good placement on this ball, finds the floor for a kill. Rebels win 25-20 to force a fifth set. Champlin Park's Catherine Adler, along with Axis and Gilk, later named to the all-tournament team, gets one of her 13 kills here, tying the score at 3. But the Cougars would go in front at 4-3 and stay ahead the rest of the night. Romy Klebacek with a kill that ends the match. The Cougars win set 5, 15-10 to capture their first ever state title in volleyball.
Spots in the state meet were on the line for many local teams at the Section 5AA girls swimming and diving meet. Jay Wilcox has highlights.
Minnetonka, the site, as 5 local teams compete at the Section 5AA girls swimming and diving meet. In the 200 medley relay, Champlin Park and anchor Lara DeShane edge out Wayzata for the win in 1:48.87. Both advance to state. In the 200 freestyle, Wayzata goes 1 and 2. Lucy Troyak wins with Ella Stark second. Troyak also wins the 500 free with Stark second again. The 200 IM goes to Libby Backer of Maple Grove in a time of 2:04.73. Backer later takes the 100 backstroke as well. In the 50 freestyle, Kaya Flaherty of Maple Grove closes strong to edge Emily Alberts of Wayzata by 0.07 of a second. In the 100 freestyle, it's Alberts of Wayzata racing to the win in 53.61 to just edge teammate Evie Holmes. The 100 breaststroke is all Champlin Park at the front as Sierra Emery takes first with Olivia Knox in second for the Rebels, who are second as a team. Wayzata's depth pays off as they win the 400 free relay and easily take the team title. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Also in swimming, the Armstrong girls captured the Section 6AA title for a third straight season. The state meet is Thursday through Saturday at the University of Minnesota.